And we are live for the episode 3 of the Monsters of Geek podcast. A little bit late, about 30 minutes late because we had an echo problem. But yeah, thanks for tuning in and watching us here and talk about some geeky stuff. We have a new member. If anybody, once this episode goes up, you'll read the little synopsis. But we got the whole team here today. We've got Mr. Andrew Foltz making his debut on the Monsters of Geek podcast. How you doing, Andrew?
What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing?
Doing well, doing well. Of course, our resident mythical snow creature, Mr. Yeti, is back in the house today.
Howdy.
And the return to a momentous Monday Night Raw pop, the world champion of Monsters of Geek, Mr. Jared.
It feels good to be back.
So, guys, I kind of want to do a little bit of a new format here just to kind of see what you guys have been doing over the last week as far as your geeky hobbies or whatnot. What as Joe made fun of me when I put on the show notes, what have we been digging lately this week? Little bit of updated reference there, but Joe, thanks for making fun of me there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, as far as has anybody, Andrew, I know you talked about a little bit of playing Uncharted, the HD collection. How you liking it so far?
It's pretty good. It looks nice, of course. The PS4 up-res is, it looks nice, but I think we're remembering that game a little bit better than it actually is. There's some finicky control stuff that really started to irritate me, and a couple of other things that were my fault because I'm playing on crushing, even though I'd never beaten an Uncharted game on harder than normal before. So some of it's my own problem, but there's still some weird control stuff that was bothering me today.
I have it, of course. I have many games that I haven't played yet, but that's definitely on to the to go list there. Both Jared and Yeti, you guys both played that game. Have you played the HD version yet?
I have not.
No, I've not either.
We've all played at least one installment. I finished the first one on PS3. Jared, you played all three, and Joe, you played all three, correct?
I played all three, yeah.
Yeah, I went through all three of them.
I had some issues on the first one with controls. There were some spots, especially some of the thinner spots where you had to kind of walk across a thinner piece of ground. Did you guys have any control issues? You played through the whole series. I wanted to wait till the HD come out to finish the next two. Did you guys have any control issues with the PS3 version?
Yeah, there was some on, especially on the first one. Like there was a wall of like vines that you had to climb up, and you had to be right in the right place in order to actually climb up the vines, or it wouldn't like jump on it.
I had some issues with some of the first one, just trying to figure out where to climb. Some of the textures was kind of blending in a little bit too much for my taste. So hopefully, that's why I kind of wanted to play the HD version, because I hope that kind of pops it out. And Andrew, you said the resolution is obviously better. Does the backgrounds and stuff pop out a little bit more, where you know where to go a little bit better?
Now, I started playing one and just could kind of remember how unremarkable it is, because I mean it's a classic solid 8, and in video game review score terminology, it's a classic 8. So it's not that great, and because I'm not a huge fan of the series, I decided to skip it and went straight to 2, and they did fix that in 2. So yeah, I guess so. But I do want to say that. And because I have a friend who's a die-hard Uncharted fan, very, very big fan. It's one of his top 5 games. And he made a good point. This game is 8 years old. They didn't fix any of the control issues because it's just an up-res. It's not like they went in and fixed a whole bunch of problems. They just made it prettier. So it's holding up extremely well for an 8-year-old game. My opinion, anyway. So.
Well, that's good to hear, because I really enjoyed the first one. I know both Jared and Joe, when I first got it, said that the second one was really kind of a huge upgrade over what the first one kind of built the foundation on. So I'm glad to hear that it holds up in HD, holds up out of HD. And we do tend to forget that that is an 8-year-old game. So the controls and stuff, and like I said, it wasn't nothing game breaking. I mean, I finished the game. I liked the game. There's some frustrating parts, but I've definitely played with worse controls. But I'm glad to hear that it holds up pretty well in HD as well and clears up some of the stuff there. As far as me, I mean, I picked up my first repro cards this week, and if people don't know what a repro card is, it's basically someone taking a game that was not released here, was finished but not released, or maybe even doing some tweaking to an old one, making it more difficult, maybe new textures, stuff like that, and then putting it in a cart, whether it be NES or Super NES, and actually selling it like a new game. So I went to a great shop in North Carolina called GameSwap, and picked up 2 repro carts. And the 2 repro carts that I picked up was Super Back to the Future 2 and what was the other one? Terranigma. Terranigma was a really good RPG that was released in Japan. Did not come over here, part of like the Soul Blazer series, the last part of that. And then for some reason, Super Back to the Future 2 is a great platformer. Definitely would have sold over here, but never came over here. So from what I understand, it was just released in Japan. Now that could be rights issues. Maybe they had the rights in Japan, maybe not have the rights in the U.S. So I think that they did release a Back to the Future game, but obviously, like I said, maybe the rights were tied up elsewhere. But I'm pretty stoked to do that. I mean, that was just what I've been digging this week as far as those cards and getting ready to play those. And but anybody else has got anything cool that they've picked up or want to talk about?
I picked up the Dishonored remake.
How you like that?
I like it. Or it's not really a remake. I shouldn't say remake. It's just like the Uncharted series. It's just got a HD makeup on it now. But it's still a wonderful game. I love that game.
Did anybody else play that game?
I played some of it, but I'm not a big stealth fan, so it didn't stick with me very long. I didn't finish it.
Well, that's the thing about what makes that game wonderful. There's so many ways to play it. If you go stealthy, of course, there's not going to be as many dead bodies or many rats, or you're not going to have the citizens like all up in like shambles because you're killing a bunch of people. But you can just blaze through it and kill a bunch of people too. I mean, you don't have to play stealth.
Yeah. I'm just one of those guys that has to get the good ending, so I couldn't do it. And I think at the time I was on a big platinum trophy kick, and you had to play a stealth run to do that, and I just burn out on it.
I would love to platinum any of the Batman games because I love those games, but I just can't beat it on hard. I'm not a good enough gamer to beat stuff on hard. Jared can contest. He's watched me play games before, and I'm not terrible, but normal is about my threshold. Like that's it. Like I can't go past normal. And to get the platinum, I have to beat that game on whatever the hardest setting is, hard or super hard, whatever they call it. I just can't do it. I'd just rather not try. I break out in hives thinking about trying to beat that game on hard. So let's move on to some key releases for the week. Anybody else got anything? Jared, you got anything you digging this week?
I finished Chris Jericho's 3rd book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was good, like the other 2. A little, I think the second one focused, split, his band time and his wrestling time in half, but this one really focused on a lot of his comeback and a lot of the stuff I'd forgot about. So it was really good.
Now this touches on more of the comeback where he confronted Orton, right? That's that very first comeback.
This comeback, oh my gosh, I started it back around Christmas and just been reading parts here and there, but I can't remember. I think this comeback was with his Shawn Michaels run.
Oh, okay.
When they did that big storyline, that was one of the early chapters, because Batista was still there. Mm-hmm. They talk about the whole him and Batista feud and them getting blood on Monday Night Raw during the cage match, and how Batista got fined like $100,000 because of it. And it was good though. There was a lot more insight in this one on some of the behind the scenes stuff. Even with his Dancing with the Stars and some of the other side project he has, I found this one probably more interesting than the second one.
Is it better than the first? I really liked the first. The second one was good, but it did kind of touch more on his music stuff, which, I mean, nothing against Chris Jericho. I've never listened to Fozzy, never going to listen to Fozzy. Some of his European stories when he went was pretty funny. But how does it compare to that first one as far as you said touches on more wrestling, so that first one is almost pure wrestling all the way through.
Yeah, that first one is pure wrestling. It is kind of like a good in-between between the Fozzy and the wrestling. It's kind of like the in-between between the first and the second book, because he doesn't overdo the talking about Fozzy, but the stories he does put out there are really good and really funny. And then some of the stuff he talks about, took students to GD test, and I was sitting there in the lobby waiting on them to get done, and I was shaking. I was trying to keep from laughing out loud.
His books are always entertaining. I mean, he's a great writer. Like, he's a good storyteller, which goes for a long way there. I'll probably have to borrow that off of you. I'll let you borrow when I finish. I'm almost done with Daniel Bryan, so we'll do a swap. You can read Daniel Bryan's, and I can read into Jericho. So that's it. Anybody else got anything that they want to touch on?
I played The Witness this week.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. I'm not a puzzle guy, so
awesome.
that game's completely out of my realm. Puzzles baffle me.
It's apparently it's too hard for you, but
apparently I'm not afraid to say it's too hard for me.
But it's a lot of fun. It's hard to talk about without spoiling it, and it's not something that you want to have spoiled. But if you like puzzles, play The Witness.
Seems like a lot of guys on the Giant Bombcast kind of had the same thing. We can't discuss this without messing everything up. But it seems pretty intricate, and it's by was it Jonathan Blow? Is that what his name is? Guy that did okay. Braid. Okay. They said it was really good. I've heard nothing but glowing things about it. I may give it a try, but puzzles. I usually get stuck on puzzles pretty easily, so
There's a way that I could let you try it. We'll talk off mic about that, but
okay.
I have an idea for us.
Cool. All right. Well, let's talk about some key releases coming up for this week. Let's take a look here. It will be the week of the 29th, February 29th. So, of course, some really big video game releases. We'll touch on the biggest one. We got Heavy Rain, which is another re-release. I don't know if this is an HD re-release. It didn't say it was just an HD version. So I don't know if they actually took the game and remade it for the PS4 using that hardware, or if they just kind of ported it over like the Uncharted. I didn't get a lot of information on it. We got Mortal Kombat XL, which is basically probably kind of like a Game of the Year edition, from what I understand, has all the DLC. Both of those are for PS4, and then Mortal Kombat for Xbox One. And then the big one, I just pre-ordered it today, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. Andrew, I think, has already pre-ordered it as well. That's the big release. One of the first big releases by Nintendo for the year. Actually, the first big release by Nintendo for the year.
Hey! Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Come on.
Okay, for the 3DS. I'm talking about the Wii U. I'm sorry, first major Wii U release. I stand corrected. But super stoked about that. And Andrew, what are you looking forward to with that game?
It's not the best Zelda. It's probably just ahead in my mind of Majora's Mask, but clearly behind Wind Waker, clearly behind Ocarina, maybe ahead of Skyward Sword as well. Yeah, Skyward Sword would be behind Majora's Mask. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Kotaku had a pretty interesting article this week, just kind of discussing the first 2 hours, because Twilight Princess is known for its slow start, and it starts really slow. Just reading the article, I kind of got bored, but knowing the payoff is worth it, because the rest of the game is really good. It's got probably one of the best, maybe not best, but coolest dungeons in all of Zelda. The Yeti, what's up, Yeti? The house that the Yeti lives in is really, really cool, and So I like it. There's a couple other moments in there that are pretty neat. So I'm looking forward to replaying it because I tried to pull out the GameCube version Wii version not too long ago and replay it, and it was just too ugly, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, now correct me if I'm wrong. That was basically, I mean, Wind Waker. I've played enough of Wind Waker to know it's a really, really good game. I didn't never beat it, but I played enough of it to know that it was a very solid action game for the Zelda series. This game was almost created in fan response to that. They wanted more of a darker Link, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for sure. It's a Zelda fans know the story, but they had a prototype, a demo video of Link and Ganon fighting on the GameCube hardware, and it was gorgeous, and people were flipping their lid. And then they announced Zelda, and it's this cel-shaded, cartoony-looking game, and people flipped their lid because it wasn't what they'd been promised, I guess. But Wind Waker, because of that cel shading, has actually maintained its timelessness more than Ocarina, which was, it's hard to go back and look at the N64 version. The 3DS remake is pretty nice. But Wind Waker has maintained its timelessness. The HD version that they released on Wii U is nice, but it's really not that huge of a step up from what the GameCube did because of the way they made that game. And it also doesn't hurt that it's fantastic in terms of gameplay and story and whatever else as well.
Yeah, Wind Waker was actually, I didn't own a Super Nintendo when I was a kid, I had a Nintendo, but I didn't play the Zelda games on Nintendo. That was my first Zelda game, and I thought it was gorgeous. I had a friend she was absolutely totally against Wind Waker, wouldn't touch it because of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and said, that's not my Link. My Link's all grown up and dark, and I was like, okay, whatever. And it's just such a great game, and a lot of people, I think, missed it because, the tone was off for them, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to like everything everybody else does, but if you never played it, go give Wind Waker a try. I think it's great. I think it's a really cool game, and just like Andrew said, very colorful and really pops off the screen. It's just a gorgeous game. All right, only movie out this week is Zootopia. Reviews of that actually came out this past Thursday. Reviews of that has been really favorable. Somebody said it was an instant Disney classic. I don't know if any of us would go. Maybe, Jared, are you going to take your girls to go see that one?
I don't know. I don't even know if I've seen the preview for that yet.
It looks like it's kind of like, it's got a very kind of Hoodwink vibe to it. Obviously, Hoodwink is, not a lot of people know Hoodwink, but Hoodwink is a great movie.
Best animated movie ever.
Lucy likes Hoodwinked.
Yeah, Hoodwinks is awesome. So I think that as it got kind of a vibe because there was like a cop and a detective and a little bit of a vibe there. I really didn't read the synopsis to tell you what it was about, but it's a gorgeous looking film, and obviously another family film from Disney. So hopefully it looks good. So let's move down to comic books. Of course, movies this month we've got Superman, Batman coming out later in the month. We'll talk about that. I think all of us are pretty much going to go see that one, so that should be an interesting conversation later on. Looking at comic books, we've got some releases now. The way we're going to do comic books, I'm not doing single issues unless it's some kind of number one coming out of a new series or something that maybe may intrigue us. But just doing collections. I think all of us pretty much read trade paperbacks now. Andrew, I think you may read some stuff digitally now, correct?
I don't read anything, really.
Okay. I know we talked about at one point you was reading it digitally.
What I have read was digital, yeah.
There you go. So just some of the ones that released. Civil War box set with a hefty price tag of $500. I believe that has the beautiful hardcover, Steve McNiven artwork, and then it goes all the way through all the tie-ins and everything else, the aftermath and all that good stuff. $500. That's a lot.
I don't know if that's worth $500.
Not the main series. That's why I didn't buy it in trade, because the artwork is beautiful, but it's kind of like it's a big action movie, and it just doesn't hold up as far as there's not much there. I mean, you could finish that in 30 minutes. There's not much talking there at all. I think me and Jared read it when it was coming out together. It worked in issues, probably one of the best Marvel series as far in terms of monthly installments, but the trade is just, I just don't know how how you don't quick read that. I guess that's a 30-minute sit down. There's just not much to read.
No, I think you probably took you about 10 minutes to get through, maybe.
Yeah, it's very thin on dialogue. It's just flat out action, and there's some pretty cool scenes in it, but it definitely works better as a monthly. Now with all the tie-ins, maybe it may be where I don't know if it's worth $500 though. So if you do buy that, let us know. Drop us an email and we'll give you a standing ovation or something. Daredevil Omnibus by Miller and Jansen, obviously. I didn't see what all issues is covered. I've read a lot of the Miller stuff through Daredevil. Such a classic run, made Daredevil who he is. A lot of what you see on the TV was built by Miller. This kind of dark, kind of noir character. The Kingpin that you see on TV is completely built by Miller's version of the Kingpin. So, Jared, have you read any of the Miller stuff? Joe, I think maybe you have a little bit. I can't remember though.
I've read a few of them. Yes, when you had them.
Yeah, I think I borrowed them from you also.
Just really good storytelling from Miller. Now Miller's kind of went off his rocker a little bit. I don't know if you've read some of his later stuff. It's actually quite humorous. But that was some classic stuff there. Definitely classic Marvel stuff. Also releasing Elektra. All this, obviously is in for the Daredevil TV series. Andrew, have you watched any of the Daredevil TV series?
Yes, yeah, I watched all of it.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend. I mean, if you can find it digitally, which sometimes they'll go sales where you get a big chunk or maybe a trade digitally. I definitely recommend the Daredevil one. I never read the Elektra stuff. I've heard it was really good. Frank Miller is very protective of Elektra, to be quite honest, to the point where somebody asked him at I think a Brazil Comic-Con if he had seen Elektra in the show. And he said, like a curmudgeon old man would say, that's not my Elektra, so it doesn't matter. So he's not even seen the show, kind of pulled an Alan Moore there and was a little bit curmudgeon old man on us there.
There is a website now where you can pay a subscription and read unlimited. So a lot of back issues and stuff like that.
Is it the Marvel Unlimited? Is it through Marvel or is it through...
No, actually, I think it's a third party.
Oh, okay. Is it like a Comicology or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I was listening to a podcast and, they were advertising. And I think there was some older Marvel stuff on there. I can't remember. They ran through a bunch of it.
Yeah, so go check that out. Like Jared said, if you can find someone that's unlimited or digital, or most of these you can find on, me and Jared like to frequent, and Joe as well, InStockTrades.com. Usually, and I'm just giving away free advertising here, but usually about 47 to 50% off of stuff, and that's where I get a lot of my comics at as far as trades, because they're cheap. I can get a bunch of them, and if I just have $50, I think free shipping.
Yep.
So you can definitely get more than $50 worth of comics just because of how they slice it. So, but definitely go check those out. One of the things that I'm really looking forward to, and I'd like to get it and kind of read it, see if anybody else could get a copy of it. We maybe could have a special podcast on it.
Book club.
The comic book club. Miracle Man: The Golden Age. Marvel got the rights to this character. There's a whole crazy history. Started in Britain. I think Epic Comics, if I'm not mistaken, had it. It's been so long since I've read anything on the character. Went through some really bad legal proceedings. Neil Gaiman owned him. They were said that Alan Moore owned him. One guy owned the early Silver Age stuff, I believe, of him. But it was kind of one of the first deconstructions of a superhero. It's really, really good to the point where I really wanted to read it. But this was so rare because it never got a second print because of all the lawsuits and everything else that went with it, that the trades were going for like $110. Like, it's just a ridiculous amount for a trade paperback. So Marvel finally got it. Neil Gaiman either apparently sold part of his rights to it. I think he had rights to it or something. You'll have to go look it up on Wikipedia because it's absolutely just a crazy story about how this character ended up with Marvel. But Neil Gaiman is actually writing this with Bill Willingham on art, which I think that he actually did some of the original stuff when it was coming out. And there's The Golden Age, I think either it's Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and then Modern Age, but it's broken up in different ages, and it's basically a deconstruction of a superhero. So I'm actually really stoked to pick this up and hopefully discuss it after I finish it. But that I didn't know. I knew that they had the Rise. I didn't know when all this stuff was coming out, but I'm super stoked to have that coming out. And then just Black Canary Volume 1, kind of a reboot of the character, and she's kind of like this punk rock superhero girl, which I found interesting. And then Batman Dark Knight Returns, $33.99. The Miracle Man was $29.99 from Marvel. Marvel's doing the Batman Dark Knight Returns hardcover and Blu-ray setup for $33.99. Heads up, I think Best Buy will have it for $19.99. In store, I believe, starting tomorrow, I believe.
It's DC.
And that's DC.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I thought the Batman would give it away, but I guess I was wrong. So let's get in.
I just don't want those trolls trolling you, dude.
Oh, okay, those YouTube and podcasting trolls.
He's an idiot because he said Marvel and it's DC Batman.
Well, I thought Batman was Marvel.
Oh Lord, don't start that now.
Send it. Come on, trolls, send it. So let's move into some of the major news this week, and we'll try not to take too much longer. We'll want to discuss this in length here. Rated R. James Gunn kind of called it. Somebody asked about Deadpool being rated R and how it was going to affect things, and he was more worried about the studios kind of taking it for their own and just making a bunch of superhero rated R movies. It's been announced that Fox is going to try its darndest to make Wolverine rated R, and then finally, which just like Deadpool, a character that should have a rated R movie, and then Superman versus Batman will have the R-rated cut on Blu-ray. Apparently, it was a lot more violent in the first cut than what we'll get at the end of March, so that's going to be interesting. Guys, just whoever wants to speak up first, what do you think about the rated R culture of comic book movies coming so fast here?
Finally.
Why finally? I mean,
I think some comic book movies should be rated R.
Well, Wolverine's definitely a character that should have a rated R movie.
I mean, we've had rated R comic book movies, but I'm hoping that this will get us some remakes in there, maybe.
Really, the only remake I can think of, and Jared or Andrew kind of jump in here. Only remake that I can think of they could do would possibly be The Punisher and Daredevil, but it's been pretty much said by Jeff Loeb that they're keeping those on Netflix. Like, you may never see those guys on the screen.
I wouldn't say remake, but I would say, because Constantine is a really good movie.
Yeah, I'll see Constantine.
But I'd like to see some more Constantine films.
The thing with Netflix is they can make it as violent as they want to. So if they want Daredevil to be a rated R type, they can. If they want Punisher to be rated R type, they can. It won't have that rating, but that's because it doesn't get rated.
I think that helps out. I think that helps out with the movies and the way they're going too. Just because Netflix can push the limit, and we're not going to be able to see a PG-13 Daredevil or PG-13 Punisher now because of those Netflix shows.
Yeah, it's kind of being set backwards at that point.
Yeah.
Jared, what do you think about? Are there any characters that you feel like that can definitely benefit? I mean, obviously we talked about Wolverine, Deadpool. Maybe an X-Force movie would benefit for a rated from a rated R tag. Is there any character in particular that you think would be just perfect for that rated R tag?
Deadpool and Wolverine are the two that stick out. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about one of the DC characters.
Lobo?
Yes, Lobo. And they were like, if seeing Deadpool, now they could bring this gritty intergalactic bounty hunter. It'd be kind of like a mix of Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, most definitely. And you could bring in a lot of different, you could bring in the, what's the name of the of the group now. It's lost me, but the superhero group in space for DC, and I can't remember Legion, the Legion of Superheroes. You could bring that in with Lobo. DC has a lot of weird kind of I won't call them weird, but I like Marvel Cosmic a bit better than what I do as DC because DC has so many big characters anyway flying around on Earth that they don't really they do these epic space stories, but not with characters that you haven't already seen, like Superman or Martian Manhunter or stuff like that. I think that as far as what you could do, Lobo would be one of them. Joe talked about Constantine. I think what DC has to do is, like, I know they talked about Justice League Dark movie. That would be a perfect rated R movie. Really kind of bring in the horror element of those characters, the mysticism and all that stuff that kind of goes with it. I think that would be a perfect rated R movie.
You know, if they would do an Ultimates movie, because you remember, you know, that first and second run of Ultimates, you know, that was there was a lot of stuff in there that was pretty violent, and I think it could go a long way. But you know, that has a lot of their major characters in it, so they probably wouldn't go that far. But so another group that might benefit would be the Midnight Suns.
Oh yeah, Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze and
Morbius.
Morbius. Yeah, most definitely. I think any of those darker realm characters where they're kind of their stuff is built in that, like I said, like that mysticism or more of the dark type characters. Not necessarily noir, but more of a darker kind of horror type characters. Blade. I mean, we could see Blade come back in the radar movie.
Yeah, or even possibly a Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing would be awesome. Yeah.
How about Invincible?
Oh, through Image, yeah. Well, I think most of Image's comics you would have to make radar anyway.
True.
Yeah, I think Invincible would make a great TV show if picked up by like an Amazon or a Netflix or something. But I would love to see something done with that. And maybe even, you remember Sidekick?
Sidekick was good. Sidekick was hilarious. I could see HBO really picking that up. Because that has a lot of...
It reminds me of Clerks or a Kevin Smith. If George Carlin was still around, he would be the perfect person for that role.
He would be. That'd be hilarious. I see this more for DC starting to do rated R movies because, like you said, Junior, I think the core Marvel characters you'll never see rated R. Now, Fox can do whatever they want to with the X-Men. They pretty much do that in the comics anyway. The X-Men kind of go on their own adventures, usually away from the rest of the Marvel universe most of the time. They rarely cross over.
You don't think we're gonna get a rated R Spider-Man movie?
That would be interesting if they could try to pull that one off.
Put some carnage in there.
Yeah, Deadly Gangster Spider-Man.
Right, you know, do some alternate universe, right, where he shoots people up or whatever. They technically could do. There's a character called Spider-Man Noir, and I think basically it takes it back to like the 1920s. And there's a Spider-Man. He carries a gun and shoots people. He's dressed in black, very noirish. Actually, a pretty cool character. He's actually Scottish or Irish or something like that. So he talks with a very thick accent. But yeah, you could definitely do that. I'm sure that somebody throw that out there, but I just don't see any of Marvel's core characters ever being in a rated R movie.
What about people with that's involved with like core characters, like maybe a Venom? Do you ever see that happening?
That would be interesting, because I do believe like a Venom with a Carnage movie in it, or just a Venom versus the other symbiotes. However many that there are, it would have to be a super violent movie. And I think that's where the rated R is going to come from. Is more or less the violence that you're going to see. I don't think they're going to go out and make a raunchy version of Venom, a raunchy comedy like Deadpool. It's going to be more of the violence, and there are characters on both sides that are very violent, and that is core to the character. It's just that Marvel's took a lot of their violent ones and said, hey, we'll put them on Netflix. We can do whatever we want to with them. They'll almost never cross over as far as seeing them on the big screen.
One that should get a reboot and could get would be a good rated R would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If they would do it like the original Eastman comics.
Mm-hmm. The first one got pretty close. It was very dark, kind of noirish, but definitely nowhere near rated R.
And the first one still holds up though. It's really fun to watch. I think they had something going until the other other two came out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the other two totally took them more towards the TV cartoon, kind of the goofiness of them, which they're still great. I still think the second one's really good too. Just a different type of movie. But it's interesting. I mean, James Gunn said it before. Like I said, I'll reiterate that he said he was scared that the studios were going to start throwing radar superhero movies. And luckily, it fits what the characters are talking about. But we'll see. We'll see where that goes. That's going to be very interesting, considering we've had PG-13 superhero movies for a good 15 years. So it'll be interesting.
There's a few that I'd like to see. I think Nemesis would. I know it's Fox has the rights to it, but I think it's Fox has the rights to it. I think
that's the Mark Miller one, right?
Yeah, if it finally got the green light, because it's been it's not production, but they have a script for it that never got the green light. But now that the rated R movies have started coming out, we could see it.
Nemesis is technically like if Batman flipped his lid.
Yeah,
and basically became the Joker. Yeah. I mean, basically became like a supervillain. And just, I remember there was a scene I remember about it where he's like on front of the car shooting, 2 guns at a guy, and, being very.
Yeah, what was the DC fighting game a couple years ago where Superman flipped his lid kind of the same way?
Yeah, it was called. Oh man, they just released a trade this week. Injustice.
Injustice, yeah, because I've read some of that comic, and if I remember right, Superman punched a hole in Joker's stomach. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think because he killed Lois Lane.
Right, yeah, in a nuclear bomb. But
spoiler.
Just that panel of yeah. Sorry about that. That's actually what turns him though, so it's at the beginning. Get over it. But anyway, that could be interesting just to see Superman physically punch a hole through whatever graphics they put in it, through Joker's stomach. Like, just the shock of that could be interesting.
Well, I think DC has a really good chance of making a Deathstroke spin-off of if Suicide Squad has a good run in the box office.
What spin-off? Deathstroke. Mm-hmm. Well, funny thing is that they've pulled him from the Arrow scripts. I think Mark Guggenheim went on the record to say that we're verging off a little bit off topic here, but they've actually pulled him from future Arrow scripts because he is, from what he said, he's involved with another project. Now, whether that's Suicide Squad or Justice League or doing an own Deathstroke movie, which would be interesting, but he has been pulled from any future scripts, so that's pretty interesting.
And what about Penance movie?
I'm not familiar with Penance. Oh, from Marvel? Oh, Lord, yeah. That character's terrible.
That is true.
That character is absolutely terrible. I can't believe you even said that.
That is very true.
We're into this conversation before you go any further down that rabbit hole.
It would be one of those.
I was about to ask what makes him terrible.
Basically, it's there's a character called Speedball, kind of a very happy-go-lucky character. Part of the New Warriors who started the Civil War during that, the $500 books, set, go buy it, you'll figure all this out. But anyway, he becomes a supervillain after they catch him and incarcerate him. And basically, he's put in this, if you ever watched Matilda, basically put into a living and breathing Trunchbull, or the whatever, what they call the...
It's an Iron Maiden. It's a walking Iron Maiden.
What they call the Trunchbull when they threw kids in that spike box, what was that called? Anybody remember? The Chokey, I think is what they called it. Anyway, yeah, so nobody, apparently my Matilda stuff's dying here. But yeah, so basically he has spikes on the inside of his suit. So when he puts it on, his power become more deadly. I don't know. He's kind of like an emo kid.
It sounds terrible. I believe
it's terrible. Yeah, so I can't believe that he was even mentioned this long on this podcast. So it's over, done. Let's move on next.
Don't play him. Next topic. Play him in Marvel.
No, don't. So let's move on to the next big news here. Maybe the biggest news of the week, possibly. New Pokemon announced for the 3DS. It will be released holiday. Andrew's happy about this. Holiday season 2016. One will be titled Sun and one will be titled Moon. So how much did you fanboy out when you heard the announcement? Andrew?
Not a lot, because they didn't reveal a lot, and they slow burn their announcements for these things. They announce it, and then in 2 months we'll see the 3 starters and one of the legendaries, and then a month ahead of schedule we'll see the final evolutions of those starters. They slow burn that stuff out so slow that just seeing a logo doesn't really get me pumped for anything. But just knowing that we're getting one is exciting. So looking forward to that.
Well, versus what? Now, the last couple Pokemon games, obviously their latest re-release was Yellow, Blue, and Red, correct? Downloadable only, which was out Saturday. Yeah, today. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, today.
And then you had XY, and then the release of Fire and Emerald. Is it? I don't know.
It was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
There you go. I was thinking Red and Blue. Yeah. So versus what they've done already with the 3DS Pokemon games, like what do you think that they need to do with this one? Is there anything that you would like to see as far as any new modes or gameplay mechanics or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to Pokemon. Like I just like the paper rock scissors type thing, and I wish that they would do something. I guess if I was putting together a wish list, the first thing would be that the AI would not be stupid, because they just whatever the Team Rocket of each generation is comes out there, and they have level 2 Rattatas, and by the time you get later in the game, they've evolved them to Raticates, and somehow that's supposed to be challenging and intimidating, and it's mostly just annoying. So I just wish that they would get something a little bit better, more interesting to fight over the course of the fight. But any Pokemon fan worth of sauce knows that the real goods of the game comes after you beat the Elite Four the first time. So they've done an extremely good job the last 3-4 games in post-game content. It's been really, really good. So as long as they keep that up, I'm not too worried about it.
So Nintendo, 2 things: less stupid. It's one of the things Andrew wants. And what was the other one? Less. What was the other one you just said? Crap, I just lost it. But less stupid, definitely less stupid.
Yeah, that's the most important one. They just really. Yeah.
This is a big year for Pokemon. You got the Pokken Tournament, which we've already discussed. That'll be for the Wii U, not the 3DS, as the show note says. Pokemon Go, which is some kind of mobile game coming out. You got the digital re-release of Red, Blue, and Yellow. Yeah, Pokemon Go, I've heard a little bit about, and it seems like a kind of a very experimental thing. It's basically you go find Pokemon in the real world, correct? Is that what it's going to be?
Yeah, and it's made by the people that made Ingress, which is like a GPS-based game, and I've got a couple friends that play it, but I don't know a whole lot about it. But anyway, it's made by those people, so they've already got kind of an infrastructure in place. They've probably got a system. I'd say it's going to be similar to that, except Ingress is about controlling zones and being on teams and whatever, and obviously Pokemon Go is not going to be about that. So hopefully there's more to it than just collecting. But they say that you're going to have to trade to get some of that stuff because some Pokemon will just not be available in certain regions. Like, over here in the mountains, it's not going to make sense to find a Growlithe or a Magmar or anything really with fire, because Smokey the Bear would be upset. So it'll be interesting. I've got decent high hopes for it. I'm trying to quell expectations because you just never know. But I would say, because of their track record, I think it's Nordic Games is what the company is called that's actually making it. I feel like they got a good shot at putting something together that'll be interesting.
Only Charizard to prevent forest fires.
Would it be cool if
Smokey? Never been a creepier cartoon.
Would it be cool if Smokey?
Such a creepy good.
Would it be cool if Smokey the Bear was a Pokemon, like it was a special, Pokemon?
Yeah, I would love to make him faint over and over and over. He's a creepy, stupid bear.
Don't forget to put your fires out.
So a big year. I mean, that's a big year for Nintendo. I mean, what they've all released, really kind of now. We don't know what the NX, and that's something we'll probably talk about. Hopefully next month we'll know something about it, something soon. But Andrew, do you think this?
Zelda, for crying out loud.
Yes, whether it be for the NX or the Wii U at this point, we don't really know at this point what it's going to be for. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo carried it over to the NX.
I would say it's going to be simul-release like Twilight Princess was. Which means you want to buy the Wii U version because it will be more rare and therefore worth more.
That's right. I'll pick up the Wii U version and sell it for $500 in 20 years.
I will buy both.
Moving on to some wrestling. Big wrestling. Oh no! You see what I did with the show notes was as soon as I put the Pokemon stuff in there, both Joe and Jared texted me and was like, "I'll have to set out the Pokemon stuff." And I said, well, I know just enough about it, and Andrew knows a lot about it, so that's definitely news we have to cover. But then I said, well, I'll put some wrestling stuff, and then Andrew will have to sit out. So
all I know,
it all evens out.
All I know about Pokemon.
Okay.
All I know about Pokemon.
It's okay because the Thunder and the Warriors are in overtime, so I've got something to do here.
There you go. He gets to watch the NBA.
All I know about Pokemon is that if you are playing Super Smash Brothers and you click on Pikachu off and on again, he just goes Pika 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 Pika.
Now, Joe, I remember a time when.
Oh no, he's about to bring us up.
When you and a fellow classmate, all y'all used to do was sit and play Pokemon as you were supposed to be helping at the wrestling tournament.
I never played Pokemon.
You all were mesmerized, whatever you were looking at on the Game Boy Color or whatever.
It better have been Pokemon you was looking at.
That might be okay. Yeah, I think I wasn't big into Pokemon though.
Deny.
I like Digimon. I'll say that.
Digimon was a cool cartoon. I'll give him that.
I mean, I wasn't. I guess I was more into the Matchbox cars when I was in school when Pokemon came out. And Mom and Dad never really brought us Pokemon stuff.
No, I don't think neither one of us was into it enough.
Oh.
So there's Joe's Pokemon education. Jared trying to bring up some, some ghosts of Joe's geek past there.
I played Dukes of Hazzard pretty hardcore on Game Boy Color though.
He did, man. He carried around that Game Boy Color like, what are you playing? Dukes of Hazzard. I was like, okay. All right, so let's move on to some wrestling, which isn't anything like Pokemon. So Shane McMahon returned this past Monday, which was a huge surprise and got a huge pop. Like, this is one of the biggest pops that I've heard in a long time. And everybody loves Shane O'Mac. I think all three of us, me, Joe, and Jared, love Shane O'Mac. Had some classic matches. So he comes back, basically tells Vince he wants to run not Raw. Vince tells him, sure, if you beat The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania 33. 33 or 32? 33, I believe. So, Jared, I don't know if you watched the reaction or not. Obviously, Shane O'Mac was very prominent during the time that everybody was watching WBE during the Monday Night Wars with WCW. What did you think when you saw Shane versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania?
Well, I didn't get to watch Raw, so I was, as soon as I got to work, I had pulled up Yahoo, and I had one of the first headlines was Shane McMahon Undertaker WrestleMania, and I had to think, I was like, what are they thinking? But I know Shane always puts on a show. His match with Kurt Angle, where basically he was a dummy for about 15 minutes. He threw him through glass and gave him the Angle slam off the top rope off a table. And when Shane, I think he was wrestling Kane when he jumped off the side of the Titantron with the big elbow. I mean, he'll put his body on the line. So I think it'll be entertaining. I think that they may throw some more stuff out there just to kind of relieve some of the pressure, probably some outside interference and other things. I'm sure Undertaker will get the win because I think Shane is only signed to do up till WrestleMania. So, that when they release stuff like that, you kind of know which way it's going to go. But I think it'll be entertaining.
From what I understood, and from some of the dirt sheets, there's speculation that Shane may stay through SummerSlam. Now, I don't know. Maybe they're doing. USA said for years they want more McMahon drama. They've said it for years. It boosts ratings. I think they got a pretty good rating out of this one as well. So there's a chance that he's going to be not necessarily for the long haul, but at least a couple more months, possibly, maybe to SummerSlam. So I don't know where that goes with the storyline. But credit to Shane. Shane's not. I'm not going to say Shane's a professional wrestler. I think you hit it right on the head. I think he's more of a crash test dummy for a lot of these guys. That bump with Angle where he threw him through the glass on the entranceway was maybe my favorite bump I've seen.
And he took it about let's see.
Yeah, because he couldn't throw him through it.
He had to throw him 2 times through each glass before it would break.
Because it was basically plexiglass, like it was a thicker glass. And I remember that first time he threw him, and Shane landed on his head. Like he hit that and landed straight on his head, and I thought he was dead.
He's the ultimate stuntman.
Yeah, he's taking bigger bumps than Mick Foley. But there is actually rumor about a lot of backstage drama going on in WWE right now between McMahon's and others. So I think they're trying to bring that to the forefront a little bit and possibly trying to work it out in front of the screen a little bit.
Yeah, I mean Shane's been off in China. He actually was the president, was the owner, now I think he's out, but they still owe him a lot of money because he threw a lot of his own money and all. But something with the China video streaming in China, it's like I can't remember the name of the company, but he's built that up, and now he's not. Now they've kind of replaced him, but he stepped away. But apparently they owe him, millions of dollars as far as a startup. So it's interesting to see him back. Jared, you alluded to it. There's some things going on in WWE. I don't know. We didn't talk about this last week, but the Titus O'Neil situation, which is kind of a weird situation. Titus O'Neil suspended 60 days, was 90 days. They reduced it to 60. Basically, just kind of horsing around with Vince McMahon on the air. And Vince apparently took the opportunity to suspend him and basically make him an example because he feels like backstage hasn't been as professional. Now, Jared, me and they've signed a bunch of indie talent. Those guys are a bunch of goofballs. Every one of them. They don't do drugs. They don't drink. They very rarely party. They play video games. They read comics. They're a bunch of goofballs. One of the things that got Colt Cabana in trouble with Cornette was because he showed up in flip-flops and shorts and a Hawaiian shirt when ROH signed the big deal. Kevin Steen, they talk about his weight. Kevin Steen don't care. Vince had to know, right? I mean, maybe not Vince, but at least Triple H. Like, these guys are a bunch of goofballs.
I'm sure Triple H knew, but Vince is all business, and you kind of have to learn how to approach him. And reading through Jericho's book, there are several occasions where he goes to Vince, and if they have a problem about something or something happens overseas, and he goes and talks straight to Vince about it. But it's all business. You don't really joke around with him until you're backstage, the cameras are off, then it's time to lay back a little bit. But even then, I don't think Vince really lets loose. Yeah,
the thing that kind of took me aback because he got suspended was it seemed like Vince was perfectly fine with it. I mean, Vince was laughing about it. They were celebrating. Excuse me.
Yeah, I saw it. I was kind of shocked that he got suspended.
Especially someone like Titus O'Neil, who is very much a company guy. Like, he's brought a lot of stuff to the company that has been really good. I mean, just a positive light, and WB needs as much positive light as they get. He's won a bunch of awards for being a great dad. He's been out there in the bully program. Just interesting. Anyway, we kind of got off topic, but coming back to WrestleMania, big props to Shane because there's so many injuries for WrestleMania that this WrestleMania was. I'm not saying it's going to be the best ever now. Shane and the Undertaker's in Hell in a Cell, but it's definitely a match to look forward to because when you looked at the card, there's not a lot of great matches to look forward to.
No, Roman Triple H. I don't know many people really looking forward to that one.
Because everybody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I know I was reading like basically a fantasy booking or a fantasy lineup of WrestleMania, and they were talking about maybe possibly Steen and AJ,
Mm-hmm.
which would be awesome. And there was some other people coming up, some tag team matches, stuff like that. You got to find a way to save this because it is the company's biggest show, and it's on the grandest stage. I don't think the headliners are going to change for a while, so you better put together matches that the undercard wants, or the fans want to see in the undercard.
Oh, sorry, I can't wait for the Ambrose Lesnar street fight. Pretty much.
That'll be interesting. We all know probably Lesnar will win, but I like how they're building Ambrose's character to be this, tough as nails, almost like we talk about it all the time, almost like a Brian Pillman character, a Roddy Piper character, just somebody that could face the bigger guy and he may lose, but he ain't going down without a fight type guy. If
they were smart, I mean, I know the Lesnar Ambrose is pretty good, but they should let Ambrose just basically come out and cut a promo like Punk did, and just come out and say what's on his mind. And if they were to gear it toward Roman and how basically Ambrose has carried a part of the company and one of the best workers, one of the best talkers, and kind of point out these things that Roman can't do, and Ambrose would get over like Stone Cold, and then you would have your big heel in Roman. I mean, you throw those two in there with Triple H to go in, because Ambrose won't go with Triple H even though he wants him to, and then you have Roman going for the title as well. That would make a great triple threat, and that would make it a little more interesting than what it is.
I'm not a Roman hater by any stretch. I think Roman's a very athletic guy, and I think he even puts on better matches than Cena did when he came up, when he was trying to push him. I think he's a good worker, and he could, I think, become a great worker with the right people around him. But they just messed up his push. I don't think he'll ever recover from the push that they gave him because everybody didn't want him. And you could kind of blame the WB crowd for that just a little bit at the Royal Rumble when he was throwing 12 guys out, and they was giving him a standing ovation, all that stuff. But I think he had, Batista there that nobody wanted to see Batista win. And I think that, they wanted somebody else to win, anyone besides Batista at that point. And I think WWE saw that and then kind of crammed him down our throats. And unfortunately, I think he's a great talent. I just don't know if he'll ever be a face unless they give him a real big heel run first.
Yeah, he needs, his character needs an overhaul. The fans don't like him, kind of like, the way they tried to shove The Rock down everybody's throat.
Mm-hmm.
Let him open up in his personality, get him out of that god-awful ring gear. Let him put on a pair of tights or, something. Just, why are you hiding his physique under and his tattoos under, all that shirt?
And give him new music. Get the Shield music out. Let's
give him something original.
Different.
But I think, he would work. He could go in a Randy Orton style. Orton didn't cut great promos at first either. But, as they kind of let the reins go of him a little bit and he was able to say what's on his mind and let it flow naturally, he came over really well. And I think if you did that with Roman, he would get over a lot more with the fans, either as a heel or a baby, however they're going to push him. But, don't do the same thing you did with Batista and shove it down everybody's throat, because the fans right now think they have more power than anything else. And if they're not smart, the fans will start turning on them.
Yeah, no joke. And listen, I love wrestling, and I can suspend disbelief, but you can't tell me somebody punches Roman Reigns in the chest and that hurts Roman Reigns. I mean, he's basically got a bulletproof vest on. I mean, look, I can suspend disbelief with the best of them, but you got to change something there. It just doesn't work.
Come on, Vance. Aaron and Jared see Roman Reigns shirtless.
Look how quickly Jim turned
admiring somebody.
Yeah.
You can strive to be like somebody else.
I could take my shirt off right now, and I mean the views would go up. I don't want to make anybody feel bad.
Shoot, I could take the shirt off right now, and everybody would be like, "Ooh, boy," on YouTube.
Be like, "Ooh, I'm about to puke." No, I'm joking. Let's move on because we got a couple more topics and we're running a little bit longer.
So
welcome back, Andrew.
If the Splash Brothers were the Mario Brothers, would Curry be Mario and Clay would be like afraid of everything and clumsy?
Yeah, he would definitely be Luigi. No offense, Clay. He'd be a better version of Luigi.
Spoiler alert, but Curry just hit about a 35-footer to win the game in overtime.
Again?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see?
6/10 of a second left.
I know we're getting off topic, but did you see where NBA 2K is blaming Steph Curry for messing up their video game?
Yes. He's breaking it. Like, we don't know how to program him. Yeah.
We're trying to make a more realistic game where you can't shoot 40-foot shots, but Steph Curry is 50% at him or whatever.
From downtown.
Let's take a look. We'll do one more. We'll do one more subject. We'll save the next two for next week. But let's talk about Rockstar, or should I say Take-Two, being at E3. This is big because Take-Two wasn't there last year. Didn't have a booth, didn't have a press conference. And Take-Two is home of, obviously, Rockstar, home of the GTA, Red Dead Redemption, Bully, all those great games. And the CEO said they'd be there in a big way. So I don't know if it's necessarily they're bringing all their franchises, like a new NBA 2K, new WB 2K, all that stuff, or Andrew, as you alluded to, you think it may be possibly a BioShock game.
Yeah, I mean, NBA 2K is there pretty much every year. You know, they had Kobe Bryant a few years ago, a couple other people. But, yeah, I feel like BioShock's probably a good candidate. You know, they split with Ken Levine shortly after BioShock Infinite. Obviously, he left the BioShock franchise behind, which means they've probably been working on one without him since then. I don't know if it'll be any good, but I would say that's probably one of the things that's coming out is BioShock. And I know you and I talked. There's a flyer out there. We're kind of hoping for a Red Dead 2.
Yes.
But it's best to quell those expectations so that you're pleasantly surprised rather than severely disappointed.
Right, exactly. E3's taught us that numerous years.
I think we'll see the announcement of Infinite, like, for PS4.
Like a HD remake of Infinite?
Yes. I mean, they don't have to do much work to it at all.
Yeah, it's pushing the PS3 hardware pretty hard.
So,
I heard also that they could put out the BioShock HD versions for PS4.
Yeah, that was a leak.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that's.
Yeah.
What do you? Let's kind of switch subject. Like, what do you guys think about all these HD remakes? I know we're running up against. We're trying to not take up too much more of the listener's time. But what do you guys think about Capcom's living off HD remakes. What do you want more of those, or would you rather just new properties or just new installments?
I think certain games deserve them. Some of the bigger games, like the Uncharted series, yes, they definitely deserved it. I really liked Dishonored. I thought it deserved it. But some of them, and I think Heavy Rain coming out, I think that really deserved it. That's one of the first big PS3 titles. But I mean, it's getting kind of ridiculous of some of the ones that are coming out.
I think.
Go
ahead, Andrew.
The only HD remake I want, I'm just holding out for this one. If they only make one more ever, remake the Mass Effect trilogy, please.
In HD,
please do it. Yeah.
Or it didn't over graphics.
Mass Effect 1 needed an HD remake by the. I know, but it needed one by the end of last console generation because it was aged so poorly. It was pitiful. But that would be the one thing. Other than that, I think we've reached critical mass on remasters. They're not even HD remakes anymore. But
I know that Capcom's releasing 6 Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Nobody wants from what I understand, nobody wants to remake a 6. 5 was from what I understand, kind of boring. 4 would like to see. Obviously 4 is probably the best Resident Evil game, and the argument here or there, but some people think 2 is, but I think 4 is just absolutely amazing. I just, I didn't mean to change subjects, but just a lot of HD remakes. I mean, it's almost getting a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah,
I can
saw
see,
someone say.
Go ahead.
And your turn to go first now. No,
I can see for some of it, these games that are held like almost like in a cult classic status, or kind of like the Uncharted series, where you're getting a fourth one on a different system and trying to translate those over so you can have all of them on one system. I can see doing stuff like that, but a lot of this is really unnecessary. Capcom is basically, that's how they're making their money right now. You hold these titles for so long, and then you just keep putting them back out over and over again. And I can see doing that with like the Mega Man series, like they're doing it now for the PS4. So there are certain titles like that who you're getting new gamers in, or like me, I come in at the very end of the PS3 because I had a 360 for so long. And I missed a lot of those games and went back and started picking them up again. And I can see it for some of those people, but not to the extent they're doing it now.
Yeah, Capcom's just trying to make money where it can right now. Well, I'll just be quite honest.
Well, I mean, hold on, guys. They just released Street Fighter V. That's a pretty good seller.
A quarter of Street Fighter V. I mean, from what I understand, that's a pretty stripped down game, especially for $60. I know they got more stuff coming. Somebody made a good point of just trying to get out for Evo and whatnot, which is fine. That's where their market is. But from what I understand, that game doesn't have an arcade mode. I mean, it doesn't have an arcade mode. So it is what it is. Yeah.
Well, I think some of them are smart though too, because the PS4 came out 2013, 2014.
14. At the end of 14.
Yeah. So I mean, you have these games like The Last of Us that was right on the tail end that really needed a next gen.
Oh yeah, that one was warranted.
I think Infinite is warranted. I thought it was a really good game. I thought it came out close to the tail end. And then you have a game like I said, Dishonored, where you have Dishonored 2 getting ready to come out, and a lot of people didn't play Dishonored on either PS3 or the 360. So why not give it just a little bit of a HD remake? Don't fix anything, because like the controllers or anything. Just give it a remake for people to play the second one.
One that I didn't understand was God of War 3.
Nobody understood that. I've listened to so many podcasts where nobody said that just didn't make sense.
No.
I was like, it was a decent game, but why the remake? It just made no sense. I saw that and I was like, well, maybe they're gonna have a God of War 4, but last E3 pass, no announcement. Nothing came out. So I don't know if they were trying to build for something and it didn't come through, but it just didn't make sense.
That was kind of a butt of all like year-end jokes, because it just, like you said, Jerry, it just didn't make any sense. Even I was like, why don't you just release them all? Why don't you just wait and just release them all? Like, why 3? But
Well, they already remade 1 and 2 in HD.
Yeah, they did them for the collection.
Yeah, for PS3, because those 1 and 2 are PS2 games.
Yeah, it's just a weird release. I remember seeing that, and the Giant Bomb guys were like, what? Who came up with that idea? Of all the games to re-release, who came up with that idea?
I just hope that they announce Civilization 6.
Look, a PC elitist over here. Please. Nobody cares about stealing this podcast.
Best game ever.
That's 2 strikes against Joe. He brought up Penance and Civilization. So
I'm going to go put on my watch.
Probably the last time we hear Yeti. All right. Well, we'll end it with that. Thank you guys for listening. Andrew, where can they find you on Twitter?
At AFold7, boring old Twitter handle.
Joe, where can they find you?
That's a good question.
He's got multiple ones. Which one would you rather have them follow you at?
I'd rather them have me follow. I think it's Yeti Mog.
Okay.
But I'm checking it right now.
Okay.
No, it's at MOG Yeti.
At MOG Yeti. Jerry, where can they find you on Twitter?
At Rev68.
All right, you can find me at capital A, capital C is A Collier _ MOG. So go check us out. Go follow us on Twitter. Don't forget to visit the site, www.monstersofgeek.com. Go check it out. We put up usually two a couple posts from our fantastic writers, our contributors, which these three are it, and we've got a lot more that's contributing, so go check them out. Cover everything from comic books to sports, basically what we cover on the podcast, but we do more of more features, so this allows us to talk about more news and kind of give us more opinion pieces to write about on the site. Go check us out on Twitter at Monsters of Geek, same thing for Instagram as well, and subscribe to YouTube. This will be the podcast will be live streamed on YouTube, and you can watch it later. Big shout out to both Josh from Drawing with the Delps and also Abe, one of our buddies. Abe told me I needed to wear some cooler cans because I was wearing the earbuds, and he said, Joe's wearing these cool, awesome headphones. You gotta up in one. So I'm wearing my V-Motos today. And looking cool, looking like a true DJ. So, and then you got Andrew with his earbuds in. So I don't know.
You didn't tell me, yeah.
and check out Chris's. Chris, he's a contributor to us, Chris Stamper. Check out his radio show. It's kind of late if you're on the East Coast. It's 1 a.m., but it's called House of Brutal. It's a metal show. And he does it for the one of the college radio stations up in Chicago.
And Chris is pretty much a certified genius. I mean, seriously. I mean, his stuff is just amazing what he writes. So go check him out. That should be a very interesting radio show. It's
88.5 in Chicago, and I think the station name, so you can find it on TuneIn because it's on TuneIn, is I can't find it right now. Sorry.
Wow, way to be prepared, man.
WHPK. I had it pulled up, but TuneIn shut down on me. But WHPK is the handle name for the radio station.
And what was the name of the show again?
House of Brutal.
House of Brutal. Go check out Chris. Go check out that show. Me and Andrew are actually on another podcast, which we're all throwing out plugs here. Spirit, Sports, and Sarcasm with a bunch of our buddies from church. Go check that out. We talk about, obviously, faith, but we talk about sports, and we kind of bust on each other. So go check that out as well. If you go to Spreaker, we're under Spreaker as well, and also on iTunes. Both podcasts are on iTunes. So go check out Chris's show. Go check out Spirit, Sports, and Sarcasm. And Jared is just exclusively on Monsters of Geek. If you want more Jared, you got to tune in to Monsters of Geek. Ain't that right, Jared?
Yeah.
All right. That'd be it, guys. Thank you for Andrew, for Andrew, for Yeti, and for Jared. We are out.
Love you. Bye.
All right, we're out.
You're out.
Guys, make sure you send me the files. I may just go ahead and use the one off Google, but just in case something happens, I'll need those files.
I'll send you mine. Mine started a little late.
Okay, that's fine. I'll adjust it.
I didn't record
it. Shut up, Joe. You little jerk.
I gotta remember how to save it now.
All right.
Yeah, I looked over and, it wasn't far in. It was just past the introductions or something that I looked over and it wasn't recording. So,
guys, do you guys want to do it this late every Saturday if we can? Like something like 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10?
Like when we have the turkey monster.
It's usually better for me because the kids are asleep and stuff. But, if for some reason you all want to do it early, I can... if I can miss one sometimes, it don't bother me any.
We'll shoot we'll say 9:30, and if something happens, Jared, and you can't do it, just let us know. But if you want us to extend it out, we can to around 10. So that's fine, because I want you to be on here. So as long as everybody else is okay with starting a little bit later, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to get my camera to work.
If you type it into Google, there's a...
Actually, I opened up my FaceTime earlier, and it wouldn't pull up on there either.
Hi, everybody still broadcasting. Goodbye.